Good afternoon, folks. This is Fred Campos, owner of DFW Website Designers. It is Thursday, January the 6th, 2022. This is episode number 289 of your 3 business tips at 3 o'clock in and around 3 minutes. We're getting near the end of the week of wrapping up our series. This series, starting the first week of January 2022, deals with business success. We're looking at all sorts of different indicators that determine business success. We've been looking at this all week from all different angles. And today we're going to talk about probably the one area that most small business owners do think about the most, and that's profit. We're going to talk about gross revenue, expenses, and reoccurring customers or reoccurring revenue at that. So, small business owners, this is usually the one indicator. That's why I kind of saved it for last. I alluded to it in the first session that most small business owners actually do study, and that is their profit, their revenue, or their gross revenue. It seems to be that this is the one indicator that you should pay the most attention to for your business. And what we want to do with this business tip number 1 is you should know your gross revenue. You should know your gross revenue this year versus last year, this month versus last month, this month versus a year ago month, this quarter versus a year ago quarter, because you want to see trends of that growing. Now, the good news is that's usually an indicator of success, but it isn't the number one indicator of success, because you could still be totally poor and have gross revenue growing. And that segues perfectly into business tip number 2, expenses. As you track your revenue, you should also be tracking your costs and expenses. And this includes everything from taxes to employee expenses to product and service expenses. If you're in a service industry, your vehicles, your time, your machinery that you use, you've got to track that on a monthly basis, because you have to determine from your expenses, dealing with tip number 1, whether your gross revenue minus expenses is your net profit. And is your net profit growing in the same categories I talked about before? Is it growing compared to last year? Because you can have an increase in gross revenue, but if expenses are increasing or even increasing at the same rate or higher, then your business is not successful. So many times I meet small business owners and solopreneurs that focus so hard on gross revenue that they don't realize that if they don't control expenses, they're not going to be profitable long term. And the last thing, especially in the web business, business tip number 3, is your reoccurring revenue. Reoccurring revenue, I think, is the absolute golden child of a small business. You should have some element of your business that has some sort of reoccurring. Now, if you sell a product or service, you may not have ongoing reoccurring revenue like we do in the web business, but you might have repeat customers. And what's your customer retention? Are they continuing to buy? Are they continuing to buy more product from us? Are they buying product on a regular basis? But what is our reoccurring customer base, or what is our reoccurring revenue? In these particular areas, you want gross revenue to go up, expenses to go down or maintain flat, and reoccurrings to go up. So it's kind of an up, down, up approach. So this is another indicator of business success. We're going to continue with this series. We'll talk a little bit more tomorrow about market share, but for now, I want you to be awesome. Go back to sleep.